Why do we need to take a public speaking class? Why COM 101 at HACC? Why is it so important? Why do most colleges require a public speaking class? I want you to think about a few scenarios. I know we're taking this course online, but how many of you ever had a job interview through text message? Probably not very many. What about through email? I'm sure a few of you have, maybe as your first step. Next step would be a phone interview. And when we look at that communication process coming up, we'll learn then that we have nonverbals also included in that. Whereas before, we could not see any nonverbals, and that plays a part in the message. And then I'm sure most of you have either had an interview maybe through Skype. Most of you probably were face-to-face. And that's really what we want to get out of this class, is how to present yourself, how to present your thoughts in a logical and cohesive manner. Let's move on here. So there's some benefits of public speaking. First of all, we know that it's going to improve your one-on-one communication skills, give you confidence overall. The more you speak and the more you experience it, the more confident you'll become. It's a way of making your ideas public. Some of us have some great ideas, but we really don't know how to let someone know, or even maybe have the confidence enough to put it down and then tell someone about this great idea. So this organization that we're going to learn is going to help you with that. Other things that's important for your career. You know, I personally ran into a situation where I did not get a raise, and when I finally went to find out and ask why I had not received the raise that everyone else did, they simply said, "You didn't ask." So I was astonished. Me, who public speaking, formerly doing sales, and I did not ask. So at that point, obviously, I asked and I got the raise. But it makes you be able to present yourself. I had all of my accomplishments, everything that I had done, all prepared just in case I needed to present or let my boss know why I should be getting that raise. So it absolutely helps in your career. Overall, benefit of public speaking is you can teach someone something. That is what I will even tell you when we get into our informative speeches, is think about how you can teach us something. Something you enjoy, something you like, something you know about. And the last one there is that it is important for civic engagement. If you think of many of our platforms at this point, YouTube, all of the movements that are currently happening, the Me Too movement, for example, these all, you need confidence to get out there and speak, and you'll learn that a lot of this comes from passion, from your heart. Let's look at how public speaking and conversation differ and are similar. So let's first look at the similarities. Both in conversation and public speaking, we're going to organize our thoughts logically. You have some type of order. You know that friend or that speaker who jumps all over the place and you don't like it most likely, or you didn't really get anything out of it. We want to try to not be that person, both in conversation as well as in public speaking and teaching. Similar is that you tailor the message to your audience. Hopefully you're not just speaking at your friend. Hopefully you're having a conversation. So you involve that friend with maybe the story or what's going on, so they feel important as well. You also tell a story for maximum benefit. You'll give details. You'll talk about the emotion. You'll show emotion with your nonverbals. We'll do that as well in public speaking. And you adapt to feedback. We will see that we have the audience, we have the speaker, then we have the listener. That listener gives us back feedback, both verbal and nonverbal. Just as in when we're having a conversation, if someone looks at you like I don't understand look, you'd probably go back and say what you were trying to explain or re-explain it in a different way. Some differences here. Obviously, public speaking is much more highly structured. We will learn that we will have a body. We'll have 2 to 4 main points in the body. We'll have transitions. We'll have an introduction and conclusion. We don't have that type of formality in general conversation, but you do have an order. Public speaking, also requires much more formal language. And we're not going to try to use any kind of slang during our presentations. We're going to choose our words ethically and very concrete words, so our audience knows exactly what we want them to know, not try to figure out what we're trying to say. Public speaking also requires a very different method of delivery, and as you can see, we are in a class. You'll be recording your speeches. You'll be uploading the speeches for myself and your audience members to view. And we don't do that. We don't record typically general conversations. So much more highly structured. I want to go on to being briefly about an ethical speaker, and we're going to talk about this throughout the whole entire class and why we need to be an ethical speaker and really what that entails. First of all, we need to be able to support and endorse freedom of expression. That's as a speaker as well as a listener, where we can go in this through critical thinking, and we research and we find credible sources, least biased sources, and we teach our audience something. Along with that is that diversity where we respect each other, we respect our audience members, what we know, our knowledge base. We want to avoid ethnocentrism. Coming from a perspective or the idea that our culture, the culture you belong to, and base everything from that. So, and meaning then that means that it's right or wrong, and you place judgment from what your experiences are, what your culture is, what your norms are. And we want to avoid that. We want to be open-minded to be able to learn and to be able to learn from other people. We need to be sensitive to the power of language. And again, we can't go back and reread you or rewind you. So we want to choose our words properly and watch terms that may be offensive, but also just choosing the right word. We're going to have a whole entire chapter that talks about language and choosing the right word for the meaning that we want to give our audience. Along with this, we want to use reliable evidence, logical evidence. We'll learn how to find that. We'll have a guide of what to look for, because at this point we realize that everything is on the internet for or against any topic that we want to discuss. We want to never distort information. That goes along with what we see on the internet. And you see a little note there, to lose weight, eat candy. Well, we know that that's not true. But I bet you can find some kind of diet that says that if you eat 10 pieces of candy, that you'll somehow lose weight. We know that that's not correct. So again, making sure we get to those credible sources. And that leads me really to that plagiarism, and making sure we get qualified sources, because the more qualified our sources are, then that's more qualified that we will look. And that goes along then with accepting responsibility for what we teach our audience members. We want to teach from the least biased sources, the most credible sources. So I want to go into a little bit about plagiarism. Hack has some rules, I have rules, and the world has rules. So type of plagiarism, there's 3 types I want to discuss. The first one is global, and that's where you literally take the whole entire speech and pass it off as your own. So maybe you bought it online and there's my speech and you present it. That is global plagiarism. Patchwork plagiarism, we do a lot of this. We'll pull from 2 or 3 spots or sources and we'll put them together and we'll create something of our own. Then we have incremental. We also do this a lot. We'll pull sources together, but not always give credit where it's due. Maybe we'll reword it and say that it's our own, but yet we got the information from another location. I like to use a general saying. If it's not up here right now, it's not yours, and therefore you need to cite it. So if you need to open a book, if you need to type something, if you need to open your mouth and ask someone a question, if you need to hop on your phone, if you need to ask Siri or Alexa, that is not your information. That is not your knowledge. Therefore, it needs to be cited. We'll look at how you cite further down the road here. And that leaves us then with effective listening. And that also, we'll look at that communication process, and we have to be an effective listener as well. We are bombarded with messages every day, some true, some not true, some very manipulative messages, such as in some advertising or internet sales. So public speaking, like I said, is a two-way street. We have the speaker, we have the message, we have the audience or the listener, and the listener gives feedback back and forth, and this communication goes back and forth between the listener and the speaker, and that is where we can tell what we're gaining the knowledge of. So some guidelines here is obviously be courteous and attentive. Watch at prejudging the speaker. And along with that is maintain that free expression. You will learn something, guaranteed. You will learn.